A massive victory tonight for Doug Ford. The appeals court, the highest court in Ontario, ruling he can downsize Toronto City Council, paving the way to a 25-ward election. And he doesn't have to invoke the controversial notwithstanding clause to do it. Now, in the ruling, the panel of 3 judges found there's a strong likelihood that the judge who last week ruled that downsizing council in the middle of an election violated rights erred in law. They also found that they stayed what they described as a dubious ruling, and that downsizing pending an appeal will likely succeed. It is the best possible outcome for Doug Ford.
Is there an overwhelming desire to say, I told you so, we were right?
Listen, we're really happy with the decision. We felt like we were right all along. Certainly what happened last Monday morning was that the judge's decision opened up a can of worms that turns out to have completely been unnecessary.
In particular, Doug Ford does not have to use the notwithstanding clause for the first time in Ontario history, a potentially risky move that drew widespread criticism. Its long-term impact, though, is still to be determined.
Have you suffered politically from this? Has there been damage to your government?
You know what? I think what we were going to do was ensure that this happens so that we can get a lot of positive political wins.
The opposition, though, is still saying that despite Doug Ford's ruling, the move to downsize Toronto City Council is still wrong, and his willingness to invoke the notwithstanding clause worrisome.
But the appeal court judge ruled very clearly that the original judgment was wrong to squash Bill 5. So was Doug Ford right to pick this fight and use the notwithstanding clause?
Again, that's not the end of the legal process, and it could continue even further. But what isn't right is for a premier to do what he has done, to create the kind of chaos that he has created, all because he has a personal vendetta against some city councillors in the city of Toronto. That is not the reason to undertake big policy changes.
The notwithstanding clause is not a tool to be used lightly. It overrides the Charter of Rights and Freedoms. That's the basis of our democracy. What's really at the kernel of this whole thing now is the Premier's readiness to use a tool that is supposed to be there for extreme circumstances.
Now, this battle may still not be over. Lawyers who were fighting against the stay yesterday in court tell me that they are consulting with their clients to see if they will take this all the way to the Supreme Court of Canada.